Hi, Nathan. How are you?
I'm fine, Mark. How are you today?
I'm good. We need to have a dialogue, don't we, sir?
Definitely.
Let's go.
Well,
so
go on,
you
Mark.
go, well, mate. Off you
go. It seems all we're doing at the moment is talking about the anti-Semitic rhetoric in our nation, because it's really taking a step and leap forward like I've never seen it before. And most people are fast asleep to the reality of this. And it's not just in our country, it's across the world. And so I don't know what your thoughts are of that, Mark, but I think we're seeing something which is very dangerous for our nation.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, we call it anti-Semitism. I'd actually call it Jew hatred. My dear friend John Halley says that. I think John is absolutely right. Again, another shout out to that amazing woman that was calling out those people knocking on doors in Sheffield, going, asking them to BDS movement against to boycott Israeli goods. We're going to come on to that in a few minutes. All credit to her. It's off the charts. It's deeply disturbing. And people better wake up and see what's going on around. It's awful. So do you want to introduce, I'll tell you what, do you want to, well, just quickly, Nathan, I'll just say this. So just saw it last week, a link to a school of Lenin, or the Lenin school in the Bristol area, bunch of young students going along, buying stuff, all things Lenin, celebrating communism, Lenin, Marxism, the whole thing, with a load of gusto. Not obviously, they can't be studying history, Nathan, because if they were, then they wouldn't be going down that line. They all go, oh yeah, we want communism, but not realize that all the death and destruction that comes with it. So on the back of that, we then have another week of seems training that's going on. So shall we play it and then you can talk about it? Yeah.
Yes.
Calling all Arabs in Britain between the ages of 17 to 35. Apply now to this year's Palestinian Youth Movement Summer School.
Have you had enough of being forced to watch from the sidelines while our people are being genocided, starved, imprisoned in subhuman conditions, and their future stolen from them by a colonial board of peace?
The enemy, with its nukes, tanks, and imperialist support, might seem stronger.
But for the past 100 years, the Palestinian people have never stopped resisting.
We have learned that the key to our power is to get organized, to understand the moment that we are in, and to carry the struggle forward.
As Arab youth in Britain, in the heart of imperialist support for Zionism, we have an immense role to play.
That is why we, the Palestinian Youth Movement, are organizing our first summer school here in Britain.
A residential and intensive post-cut education program where we'll study our past, our present,
and collectively pave a clear path forward for our strategic role in the struggle for the liberation of our homeland.
We'll be digging into the popular uprisings in our history,
reaping from them the lessons to apply to our work of uprooting Zionism from Britain,
from our workplaces, from our campuses, and from our communities.
So join us from the 22nd to the 26th of May to recommit to Gaza.
The summer school is fully residential, accessible from trains from across Britain.
So whether you're based in Manchester, London, Birmingham, Newcastle, Glasgow, or Cardiff, this school is for you.
Food and board will be covered, so get your applications in before the 7th of March.
Towards liberation and return.
Well, the applications had been by yesterday, so that's finished. But they're saying that they're going to be learning lessons from past uprisings to apply to how they can move forward in liberating their so-called homeland. and also to actually how they can combat what they believe Zionism in the UK. Now, really, if we had this overarching control of Zionism in the UK, we wouldn't have that going on in this country because it wouldn't be allowed. If we had this nefarious Zionist group controlling everything, then we wouldn't have Islam so powerful now in this nation, which our prime minister bows to, but he doesn't help anything else. So we wouldn't have those things going on. But I think it's highly dangerous for people to want to be attending this because it's actually propaganda. But two, people should be concerned that they're actually advertising this and that it's going on in this nation, because it shows us how much Islam has come to the forefront. And so the church needs to wake up. The church needs to be praying, especially because of the spiritual implications of what's going on in our nation. I find it highly alarming and concerning with what this is. I don't know what your thoughts are, Mark.
I fully agree with you. There were, I think, something like 20 backbench Labour MPs who have gone to Starmer, signed something saying in regard to reparations from Britain over Palestine. Let's just say this, that we look at what they're pushing forward. Right, let's talk about Yasser Arafat, his training by the KGB in 1967. They, as far as I'm concerned, they're going from Arabs to Palestinians. They're calling themselves Palestinians to push this. Behind me is a book by Einat Wilf. I grabbed that. Adi Swartz, The War of Return. I highly recommend this book. I can't wait to interview her. The issue is this: it's actually understanding history, Nathan, and this is about getting rid of Israel, the Jewish nation, and getting rid of the Jewish people, in my humble opinion. And the other thing is that we're allowed to have disagreements and we're allowed to disagree, but when you're saying we want to wipe out a people group and actually come up with stuff, and we're saying back it up with facts, just as we just recently look at the events of a genocide and all the amount of people that were killed in a couple of days, if not week, within Iran. Bear that in mind. And the regularly, the Gazan Health Ministry says this has been going on, that be going on, all these amount of people have died. No, various facts have coming out, but no, this is completely alarming. And I agree with you. Where is the church to actually speak up against this? Really, crickets. Yeah.
I mean, what we had after the First World War, we know that after the First World War, the fall of the Ottoman Empire, that the Allied powers met in San Remo, and they partitioned up they broke up the Ottoman Empire and created Iran, Iraq. That whole region was broken up to create these countries, and one of them being Israel, which was a lot bigger than what it is now because it included Jordan. Then that was split by Churchill when he'd had a few whiskeys. But going back to the actual meeting with the Allied powers, when they met, delegates from all the Arab communities and the Bedouins from all that regions came and met before them. They put their case forward for which land they wanted. And then also representatives from the Jewish community came forward. And no one from the Arab community rejected the Jewish people's claim to their ancient homeland. In fact, they said they didn't want that land. And this is written in historical books. It's written in government documents. And in fact, I think some of those documents, I had copies, and I gave them to you to look at, if you remember last we met. And it clearly talks about this going on. So history testifies to the fact that, one, there was no Palestinian people. And actually, in the actual mandate, when it referred to Palestine, it was referring to Israel under its occupation name given by the Romans. And when it was talking about the Palestinian people, it wasn't talking about the Palestinian people, what people think today. Because if you looked, actually, there was a battalion who fought, I can't remember if it was the First World War or the Second World War, but it was the Palestinian Brigade. And its insignia was the Star of David because it was Jewish people.
Mm. Mm.
And so,
but the thing is, but Nathan, sorry, people have a problem with history and they have a problem with facts. It's all about emotions. They're not prepared to look at it.
And that's very true, because what we've developed now through the youngsters is there's no critical thinking anymore.
Yeah.
Youngsters do not know how to critically analyze and critically think. And so what we have is revisionist history. We have revisionism in everything. And so we have these students at universities who are going, and actually they're not learning so much, but they're learning hatred. You can actually come against Jewish people at university and nothing will be done. But if someone comes and speaks against what they're doing, then they'll be challenged. This is the wokery within society, and it's bias. The Bible actually tells us, do not show partiality. We're not supposed to show partiality. So that's why it says in scripture that we're supposed to show love to our enemies. It doesn't say, though, that you roll over and let them beat you or kill you. We've got to show wisdom.
Well, no, thank you for finding that. It's shocking. There's so many point by point that we could go through that. So do you want to pull up the next one?
Yes. So this one is about them boycotting. There's plenty of videos out there, and I'm sure most people have seen them. But actually, what they're doing is they're going into shops and they're boycotting Israeli products. But what they're doing about that is, at the moment, they're choosing avocados. Is they're choosing all the Israeli avocados, putting them in their basket, and then they'll go to the checkout, scan them all through, but then they'll just leave them there on the side. So they'll just go off. They don't pay for them because they're not taking them out of the shop. So they're not shoplifting, but they just leave them on the side. Now, yes, if someone comes along, they'll put them back on the system, but the system will be showing that these things have been checked out. And so this is just a part of the boycotting, what they're doing, and the attack against Israel. So we can show this one just to give people an example.
Have you got it?
Yes, it's there. Yes.
All right. I do apologize. Go for it.
Oh, sorry.
See down here, these ones here. One of the most important things to do is to check your avocados. You can see down here, these ones are from Peru, so those ones are safe. These ones you can't tell, so you can assume they might be from Israel. These ones, product of Israel, it says it right there. So those are the ones who want to be boycotting. Again, these ones are from Israel. So buying these avocados when you have your avocado on toast is actually going to be supporting a genocide. And there's plenty of avocados from other places that are not causing such a level of devastation. And they're in the wrong.
Well, the fact is it's not an apartheid state, and the fact is it's not genocide. So, so both of those statements are actually not correct.
Well, this is the whole point. It's like the facts. They're not dealing with facts, all the devastation. Okay, 7th of October, because we're going to go into the 7th of October 2023, 12 up to 7,000, they reckon 7,000 now with all information come out. Hamas terrorists came over the border. 1,200 Israeli citizens are murdered. 251 are taken hostage. Nova Festival, which I've been to, kibbutzim near Zoz, I've been to, stood outside the Bibas family home. I don't say any of this to show off. It's emotionally draining. It's awful, but that's the reality of what happened with all the atrocities that happen, Nathan, from that point. The rapes, the abuse, the let's just say it, cutting heads off babies, even though they want to deny that.
There's evidence out there. The evidence is out there of what they did.
Yeah,
the rape
absolutely, absolutely, and they want to deny that.
They even did it
Yeah.
to dead body.
Yeah, what that woman doesn't understand is that before the 7th of October, there were 20,000 visas that Gazan residents had, so they could come into Israel to work. They completely took advantage of that, and then mapped out where what the Israeli properties were like on the kibbutzim, mapped it out, who had a gun, who had dogs, how far the houses were apart, etc., etc., etc. So that was all done. So she needs to wake up about that. And if that happened in this country, then how would we respond? Don't even answer that, because we've just got an open border, and we've got, up to 55,000 illegal immigrants who come over the border since the excuse of this government came in. But there we go.
Well, if anybody in the government was watching that advert for the youth movement to come and learn from past, how they've combated to try and come against Israel, so they can apply it within what's going on in the UK, then I'd be quite concerned about that, because everything they've done for their so-called struggle predominantly is terror.
Well, absolutely. And just to remind people that when it's talked about in Kenneth Levin's book, The Oslo Syndrome, is that when Yasser Arafat on the White House lawn is signing the Oslo Agreement, and within hours after that, he then goes on a channel, and he then basically speaks out of both sides of his mouth. He says, well, we have to sign this, to do this, basically to get what we want. So it's takriya. So yes. This is the bottom line, and people need to wake up to this in regard to the political ideology. And that couple, I don't know where they are. They look very earnest. Wherever they are doing that, throwing avocados and bruising them all over a supermarket floor. If I was the manager, I think I'd be going along there and giving them an invoice. But
note though, the best avocados came from Israel.
Well, of course they do. Having seen some, tasted some, so you're absolutely right. So this is what's going on, and again, as we're reporting on the Jew hatred, because that's what it is. And following on from our last week's discussion, yeah, it's deeply concerning, and asking people to wake up and smell the roses, and also the facts. Right, Nathan, just before we show the video,
yeah. So I've just got some figures here. So kibbutz near Oz, which you visited, and we're going to be visiting on our tour in September.
Yeah.
66 people were killed, 11 was taken hostage. In the Nova Festival site, 364 were killed and 44 taken hostage. Kibbutz Be'eri, 134 were killed and 33 taken hostage.
Yeah.
31 killed. Nahal Oz outpost, 66 taken hostage. Nahal Oz, 16 killed, 6 taken hostage. And we could go on. There's more. The fact is, these are people's lives. These families who have been shattered. But also we have in Israel, which we've talked before, and I think we'll do a separate show, a discussion, dialogue on it, is the trauma they're facing is off the charts.
Yes.
And so people need to pray for what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, pray for Iran, pray for Israel, but pray for those who have been through these situations, because the trauma they suffer with is evil. And
I couldn't agree.
The only thing what can heal them is the living God.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I couldn't agree with you more. I did a before we're recording Bluntly, I did a show with John Haller and dear Brian Schrager, who's out in Jerusalem, and reflecting on the fact that Brian was talking about they'd had American friends over, the war started, they were desperate to get back, and basically not handling the fact that there's a war going on.
yes,
Excuse me, and there they are in Israel. So it is about mental fortitude, and I'd just like to throw this in at this point. Especially with the discussion that we've been having, is that people are watching us on a video. They give us their time. We're very privileged to do that on our podcast and our discussion. But this isn't a hobby. We're trying to inform people. This is real life. This is what's going on. So if many people just think, oh yeah, we'll catch up with that. We'll catch up with this. We'll catch up with that. It's not to be distance. It's not to be in the distance. This is real. This is what's going on. And then I did another interview the other day. People can find that on the Southern Report when I put it up with Yossi Cooper-Vassar, who's a retired brigadier general from the IDF, an amazing man. And I'm 45 minutes in, and he has to leave because he's got a warning about to get into the bomb shelter. It's very, very humbling, Nathan. Very humbling, and it has been since the 7th of October and all that they have been through, and then going into Gaza and all the rest and everything else, and the loss of life, and all because we've seen that in Iran with all their proxies, the Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Yemenis, and all are threatening, but say with the Houthis, and just saying we want to wipe Israel out, and then all the missile barrage from Iran in April 2024, when the most amount up to that point of ballistic missiles had ever been released, I think. And now today we're 9-10 days into the war with Iran. So you're absolutely right. The trauma, and with what we believe is coming to this nation and beyond, can people actually cope with that trauma? I mean, as Brian
I don't think they can. I mean,
Right.
for so long I've been teaching, as you know, survival skills in relation to preparedness, but not for prepping, but just survival skills for people who want to learn them in the UK. And so I teach physical survival, how to learn skills of lighting a fire, building a shelter, the normal stuff, what you learn in the military, or maybe a bit more. And I tell people during those teachings, and when I've traveled teaching, you need to be prepared spiritually is the first one, because if you haven't got a relationship with the living God through Jesus Christ, then you're not going to survive what's coming.
Yep.
Then you need to physically prepare, and then you need to make sure that emotionally. And that is often what people miss out, emotionally prepared. I know when I was in the military, we prepared for everything we did. Physically, we prepared tactically, but then also mentally, you was prepared mentally for what you was going to go into. And I know my wife yesterday, when we went for a walk, and she said to me, she watched a short video on, I think it came up on TikTok or something she was watching. And it was of Ant Middleton, the gentleman who's a former Tier 1 operator. He's hopefully running for London Mayor. And while he was over in the UK to do some filming, his wife was in Dubai when they started bombing, and his family rang him up upset. And he said, while he was concerned, he knew that Dubai was very safe. But he said his family always have grab bags. And my wife laughed because we've always had a grab bag. And she said, is that just something the military do? And I go, I think anybody who's awake, who's been in the military, would definitely always have one. But then anybody who's awake should always have one, because you never know what you need it for. And the government tell people to do that. They say have an emergency bag with 72 hours rations in. It's one of those things people should have. And people think, you're being an alarmist. No, if people could see what's coming, they really need to prepare and wake up. But spiritually, physically, emotionally is crucial. Well,
I agree. Nathan, I was just going to say, before we go into the last one, do you just want to quickly draw everyone's attention to dialogues.org.uk and the banner going across why it's
Yes.
going across, and what we have going on.
Okay, yes. So please visit the website dialogues.org.uk. You can click on there, and when you're on there, you can actually then see that we've got a 4-day gathering in North Yorkshire where you can come for full board for the cost and have some teaching on some of what we're talking about now, but more in depth. We'll be looking at Israel. We're looking at Bible prophecy. We'll be looking at the Fabian Society. We'll be looking at transhumanism. We'll be looking at so much. It'll be packed. But on an evening, we'll also have some guests who will be zooming in, and we can have discussions with those as well. So there's going to be plenty of dialogue, plenty of discussions for people to go to. So they can go on the website and get the details for that. And then in September, we're taking a tour to Israel. And I encourage people now, you can actually go to the website, click on the button, it will take you to the site, which is shalomtours.co.uk, where you can book through, and you can come on the tour with us. We're going to be taking you to some of the traditional sites, but also you'll be visiting some other places. One of them is you will be going to the Nova Festival site. You will be going to Kibbutz Nor Oz and speaking to people who went through what we're going to be talking about in a moment and what we've talked about past. Because we don't do this, like Mark said, to just as a hobby. We do this to wake people up, and we do it to support the land of Israel, the Jewish people, but also it's part of our Christian faith. And so it's part of what the Bible says we should do, but also it's about what the Bible says is coming, and we're trying to wake people. So please visit the site. Also, please subscribe to the channel for YouTube, because they're censoring, and we just need to beat those algorithms. So please write comments, what you'd like us to discuss, what you'd like us to teach on. So please have discussions with us. Thank you.
Yeah, as Nathan said, please write comments, click like, subscribe, and basically wake up. This is not, as I say, not entertainment. Get off your couch, get engaged, find out what's going on. If we're recommending books, I recommend also there's Nathan's and there's Mike Spalding, Replacement Theology, but Nathan's Unlocking Bible Prophecy. So lots to talk about, lots for you to engage with, and please do. So we've got this link, mon ami, and you can talk through this one.
Okay, so this is a trailer for October the 8th. It's actually not been accepted at any film awards. So trying to promote it, but also it's showing you what happened, and it's waking people up. And I encourage people, you can actually buy it on and watch it on YouTube. And I encourage you to invite people around and to watch it. But let's just watch this trailer, because it's about the truth, and it's about getting the truth out there.
The terrorist group Hamas has attacked Israel in the air, on the ground, and in the sea.
The second I understood the depravity of what happened and the barbarism,
they've kidnapped Israelis, including children.
I thought that the entire globe would be in mourning. And not only was it silent, there was jubilation.
It was exhilarating. It was energizing. I wasn't seeing an ideological disagreement. I was seeing hatred. Free Palestine!
The hate started flooding in almost immediately.
Students called it resistance. They called it justified. They began calling Zionist students racist.
We are Hamas! Standing up for being Jewish got me more hate than all the things that I have said on social media and on my podcast combined. And I've said a lot.
For every one video that is pro-Israeli, there's 54 pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine videos, sir.
Foreign state and non-state actors are seeding the online space with false narratives in order to impact the stability of Western democracy.
30 years ago, leaders of Hamas in America met and discussed strategy to hijack students' minds.
Israel, adapting the concept of intifada. Violence will follow.
Down with the USA! Down with the USA! This is not about Jews. This is about democracy. This is about human decency.
What does it mean that the future leaders of the most important democracy in the world are chanting for intifada? What is the country going to look like a decade from now?
What is at stake is the soul of America.
Well, what's at stake also is the soul of the United Kingdom. One of the gentlemen speaking there, I'm sure you recognized him, Mark, was the son of Hamas. Yeah. This is a man who grew up in the Hamas regime. His father was one of the founding members. In fact, both him and his brother now have got out and live in other countries and don't have anything to do with it. And they speak out. Him more so, he speaks out to actually warn people. He's been over in this country, warning people, warning governments, telling them the truth, the reality of Hamas. Yet people don't listen. People don't learn the lesson. And so he tells the truth, but sadly it falls on deaf ears. Just on one of the images there, Mark, that was of the Nova Festival site, wasn't it? Yeah. Where it had signs. You've been there, Mark, haven't you?
Yeah, yes.
What was it like?
In one sense, it's harrowing. It reminded me of going. It's interesting. You asked me, and you're just trying to get thoughts together because
it's hard to put into words, isn't it?
Frankly, it is, because as I've said today, and I'm saying to you now, when you're standing there, you are in a memorial piece. It's pictures of beautiful young Israelis, etc., memories for them, and recognizing that. And yeah, you feel as though it's a bit of voyeurism in a way. If you end up, I've got film footage of that. You're filming it, you're looking at it, but actually, no, we have to report. We have to report on these things. It's a bit like when they liberated, I'm not sure whether it was Auschwitz or Dachau, but it was, the president is saying, you've got to film all this. Make sure it's on film, because of the disgusting atrocities that happened. It's incredibly moving. And one of the young girls that was there that survived is giving talks about how she survived that and what people have been through. So it's it's not an easy place to visit, but it's very important. But I have to say that, and then going to Kibbutz in Nir Oz and standing outside the Beavers family home.
Sorry, Mike, if you just share the screen just to put something on the footage. So on the right hand side, you've got a family here from Nir Oz.
Yeah.
This is a picture of, look at this, a beautiful family, same on the left, all killed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's, to me, I immediately went back to when I visited Auschwitz in 1986 and the actions. And we have to remind ourselves, one of the Hamas fighters that came over is, recorded, he's phoning up his mum and dad going, look, I've killed Jews. I mean, it's beyond words. So, will any of this be talked about at that summer school on Palestinianism? I doubt it, because it's revisionist history.
Yes.
So they're not going to talk about that. What an amazing documentary. Maybe I need to try and find the maker, be producer and director of that, or putting various things together. It would be great to talk to them. It really good. It's very, very, very powerful. So it's not allowed to, they've entered it into film awards, and no one wants to allow that to happen. How typical.
Well, that's it's showing us the anti-Semitism in globally, isn't it, in those spheres?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just hatred. It's Jew hatred. I mean, with the media, the propaganda, how things are played out, you and I both know, and it's one of the reasons why I went on the media summit tour, is Christian Media Summit tour last November to Israel, is because media is the seventh, the seventh, eighth front. While they're been fighting on literally 7 fronts, is the eighth front. And what we're doing, I will say this within certain Christian circles, I wish people would actually work together more, but that's another subject for maybe never to discuss. People know who they are, but it's instead of, to actually work together and inform instead of building their own little empire. But there we go. But this is really, really important, and it is about getting the message out. I think it's going to dawn on a number of people. It may not dawn on others of where we're at, which I believe in our own nation is in a very, very, very serious situation. It really is.
Well, we've got it in Parliament this week just gone, where a Reformed MP spoke up and said we need to be looking at the way Muslims are voting in this nation, because they're voting on block how the imams tell them to vote, and that is influencing the agenda in our nation. And we saw, Sir Keir Starmer bow to the Muslim majority when he was at the meeting with them, because he didn't want to offend anybody, but he will offend other groups.
Oh, you mean where Chairman said that the war with Iran, we haven't done anything, we haven't bombed anywhere, we didn't start it, we haven't participated. Really interesting. And then
to liberate people who are being killed.
Oh, absolutely. We've had enough. They are the biggest sponsor of state terrorism in the world. They have been since 1979. You and I have discussed that. We've discussed the revolution. We've discussed Keir Starmer being a member of the Trilateral Commission. Andrew Bridgen brought that up as an organization, say that Starmer would join in the future. I'm not saying any of this that isn't historical fact, but it's very interesting. If people can't see that they wish to herd us towards a one world government system and control, that's what's playing out right now. So
but it just makes you wonder who's funding, because that advert for the young Palestinian groups to meet, it sounded to me like it was funded. And so who would be funding that? Well, it would be one of the major players.
Well, at the end of the day, it's alluded to in the video about October the 8th, and it's going to Qatar, just over 30 years ago, suddenly deciding how they're going to infiltrate American universities. They also have infiltrated that over here and private schools. So that's it. I mean, you buy the levers of cultural change, which is university. These people are going to come out and be future leaders of various countries. And it's a bit like we've talked about it. If you say you go to America and you look at Burning Man, for argument's sake, a massive cultural changer, the biggest cultural changer in the world, and been going on for 28 years, and people end up working and running big corporations and big companies with views that are way outside believing in Jesus as their Lord and Savior. I've been to Burning Man for only 1 hour, so I can speak from authority. So this is all contributing to this, Nathan. And I will say this, I'll say this publicly. Since COVID, I've not had one phone call to come and talk at people's churches about this. I've done lots of podcasts, as you know, but I only had one phone call from someone going, "Mark, what's going on?" So there you go.
That just shows us, because we had the conversation earlier today in relation to what's happening in our country, the rise of the pro-Palestinian, the Jew hatred, as you rightly call it, the rhetoric, which is so kind of shaping our society. But what's the church doing in this nation about it? Now, I'm not calling for the church to rise up and become militant like crusaders, but we need to take a stand. The church needs to speak up. The church needs to speak out in truth, in love, speaking the truth in love, but also it needs to be calling the people to pray, and it also needs to be preaching the gospel like never before, because that's the only way things will change, is if the gospel's preached, people repent. But like I've said so many times before, I believe because of the stuff which is going on in this nation, and it's been global. So we've got the Jew hatred in this nation. We've also got something which we mostly won't touch on because, you know, too much, but it's the child trafficking. It's all those other things going on, that we have the blood of the innocent on our hands, and it actually stems across all sectors of society, politics, within the church, all sorts. And so when the church really isn't calling it out and speaking out, then God must look and go, I've got to judge. I've got to judge, because you're bringing my name into disrepute. And it says that in Ezekiel, it says that you caused the name of the Lord to be profaned, so God has to move. Well, I think in this nation and in the West, we have profaned the holy name of the living God as a whole, as a corporate body. And so God has to move. And partly how he does it, in scripture, it tells us that if we do not do what God wants, he removes his hand of protection, which allows the curses to come against us. It allows judgment to come against us. And one of the ways he does it is he allows the alien to come into your nation, to rise to become the head. You become the tail. It strips your land of everything. You don't get it. And they then eventually rise up, and then they do awful things in your nation. Wait a minute. That seems to be happening.
Yep.
And people, the church is going, oh no, we can't talk about that. Let's just raise some money for our new roof. Oh no, we can't talk about that. We've got to bring them to our ecumenical interfaith meetings, because we all have these. So, but do you know something that I saw today, and I'll send you it, Mark, which is excellent. In fact, let me find the bloke's name, because this is absolutely brilliant. This is a gentleman who is fed up of seeing churches close in this nation. So
the guy, the property developer, yeah.
Yes. So he's buying them.
Yeah.
I thought it would make an excellent discussion on dialogues.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is someone who is fed up of seeing churches close. So he's saying, I'll buy them and you can use them free of charge. You can have, you know, obviously you pay for the gas and electric and everything else. But this is where we are. The church isn't doing anything today.
No. Well, I mean, we've said that, you know, the Methodist Church gone, the Baptist Church, half of it, if not more than that, gone. Church of Scotland, gone. Maybe except for certain parts. I mean, we could just go on, whether it's free church or whatever. I mean, just people look around. Yeah, and then they're having all out of Bible experiences. We don't, to be honest, Nathan, we don't have time to really. We don't have time to muck about, and it's just it's so boring. But people need to really wake up and see what's going on. But if you going back to that video on October the 8th, I mean, all the signs. Look at that. You know, globalize the Intifada. Do they actually realize what that means? Exactly. A world violence, the Intifada 1 and 2 that happened in Gaza and beyond, in Israel. You know, have they got any idea of that? All the bus bombings that went on. I mean, you and I last May, we had to try and work this out. Why? Well, yeah. Do you remember when? We were
retaining the vehicles back in Eilat.
Yeah,
and there was a bus there, wasn't there? And the bloke wouldn't allow us to bring the cars in. No. And once he explained to us, it was because, you know, you could be a terrorist. And
yeah,
then
absolutely.
was it
And also,
they don't put the two children on the same bus.
exactly right. And they've got to, if you imagine you are a parent, you've got two children, 3 children, and you're making sure they're going on different buses, because if anything happened to one, you've got the other one or the other 2. I mean, this is just absolutely awful. And let's just remind ourselves quickly in regard to facts. So they withdraw from Gaza in 2005. By then, soon after, there's election. Hamas are then elected in 2007, and within a short space of time, rockets are firing over from Gaza again into Israel, and all the greenhouses were left, wonderful facilities to left, in fact, to create a Riviera and create all these businesses. But no, let's just rip all the pipes up and create rockets. And of course, as we've seen, all the it's all very well those people going to boycott Israel and not buy avocados, but have they not seen the equivalent of the New York or the British underground system that Hamas built? Have they not? Do they not know that? What about when Sinwar was in prison, spent most of his adult life in an Israeli prison, and in 2011 has a huge cancerous type tumor in his brain head, and the Israelis operate on him and save his life. And then, because of prisoner exchange, which is a whole subject in itself, he's then released. Don't they know anything about this? Because the Jews value life. Jewish people, Israel values life, where they value death. So don't they know that about Sinwar and what the Israelis did? Of course they don't. Of course they don't. Along with their history. So all I can encourage people is to go out and buy as many Israeli goods in your grocery shopping as possible, and to do what, push back against any of that, which is really important. Nathan.
But the thing is, I remember looking at this a number of years ago, when people talk about boycotting Israel, and they pick the easy stuff like, avocados or something like that. They're actually not choosing to pick all the other stuff, which would mean that most people couldn't use their laptops, or they couldn't use their phones, or they couldn't use certain medication because of the technology. Or tomatoes. In fact, I believe most certain brands of tomatoes that is an Israeli produce, or actually how they're developed, because some tomatoes have been modified. There's all these things going on. So mobile phones, there's certain ones which were developed. Amazon Kindle, Oracle Israel and the Amazon Kindle, printing press, HP, all these things. There's so much out there, which if you want to boycott Israel, do it properly. And you'll naturally become a Luddite, because you wouldn't have much. And that's the reality of it. So they don't realize what they're doing. They want to cherry pick what they want to boycott. Which is,
no, I couldn't agree more. But yeah.
Yes. Well, I think, just to summarize, people need to go online, go onto YouTube, type in October 8th, watch the film, watch the trailer, get it out there, raise awareness. Also, go onto our podcast and get those out there to people. Challenge, if you go to a church and your church is going along with all this, challenge the pastor, challenge the leaders, speak to them and say, excuse me, can you explain to me why you're doing this? Why we're not praying for Israel? Why we're not praying for the Jewish people? Why we're not praying for the Iranian people? But yet most churches would pray for the Ukrainian people, which is good, but actually they're not doing what Bible says. And so get out there. And if your church is not waking people up, then maybe it's time to think, which church should I go to? Because if your church is going contrary to what the scriptures say, then don't attend it. Look for something else. Meet with like-minded people. And also start to wake up and prepare spiritually, physically, and emotionally for what's coming. Read your Bible; it's the roadmap of what's going on, because it's got the answers. Well,
I agree. And everyone will be, worrying about their gas and electricity going up and all this. Well, Mr. Miliband, can we start drilling in the North Sea, you idiot? But anyway, I won't take us in another direction, but we can see the ideology that we're dealing with, which is just complete and utter foolishness. But there we go.
Yes.
Nathan, bless you. I'm going to play us out. It's been
Yes,
an
thank you.
amazing conversation and fabulous. But I'm going to play us out, mate. Okay. See you soon. Bye.